Rudy. Pink Ray. I don't know why. Hello! So, I started this video portion off with something a little more positive. I went to do Hanami this morning. And Hanami is basically like you go to the park and you sit under the cherry blossoms and you drink. Well, if you're an adult, which mostly everybody is. Anyway, I went to Yoyogi Park, which is next to the Meiji Shrine in Yoyogi/Harajuku. It's a really, really big park, so it's really nice, really fun, as you can see. Pink rain. But all is not well right now. Not really today. We've had more shakes. We had more shakes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But today was something else. Now, none of these were as bad as the original earthquake, but let's see, my friend and I, we came to Shinjuku from Harajuku, and I was like, man, like, I'm jonesing for some Krispy Kreme. And the original Krispy Kreme shop that opened in Tokyo is south of Shinjuku Station on the Southern Terrace area. Now, it's about 5:15, we start running. It's, it's starting to storm a little bit. Everybody's got their umbrellas out. It's not really that great weather. And this is like, okay, this isn't like gaming nerd talk, but, okay, there's a scene in Final Fantasy VI, basically when the world, about halfway through the game, the world ends. And, like, the goddess statues are pushed around, and you see all these scenes of the ground doing this, and this, okay? And, I grew up in the Midwest and East Coast of the United States, so I'm really not used to earthquakes, and even in, about the 4.5 years that I've been in Japan, we've never had really big earthquakes. I mean, not huge ones. Stuff would come off the shelf, stuff like that. No big deal. But scenes like this, in which the ground is doing this stuff, I never even thought could, happen. It just doesn't occur in my mind. Just because I've only seen it, in, these RPG games, and I'm like, oh, it's so, I don't know, imaginative, and it just seems like such a faraway world to me. Well, let me tell you about today. So, we're walking, up to, trying to go to Krispy Kreme. I'm holding my umbrella. It's pretty windy, and I feel like I'm being swayed around a bit. I'm like, at first, something seemed off. And I'm like, something's off for about a split second. And I look down. There's a grate and 2 tile areas. The ground is doing this. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, holy shit, oh my god! And I'm just mentally, I'm freaking out, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is because we're on a bridge. And I look around, I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? This is not a bridge. This is not a bridge. This is Shinjuku Southern Terrace. Now, granted, Terrace it's sort of a raised area, and there's some subway tracks under the area, but it's pretty solid ground. It's a solid area. It's not like a bridge where it's just bridge is like one little me, and it would shake like an earthquake naturally, or just like when it's cold, it gets ice the fastest. No, this area is not just a bridge. Now, granted, once again, there are subways under it, but it is a solid area. And I'm sitting here, I'm watching the ground do this, and I'm like, what's gonna happen? And that freaked me out today. I'm not gonna lie, freaked me out. And I'm like, well, luckily, it's just an aftershock. That's gonna be that. And, I'm looking up the huge office building next to me, and I'm like, ooh, things at least 30 floors. And it's all glass, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be in this walkway right now. So, I know I'm not psychic. I cannot predict when and where earthquakes are going to occur. So I'm like, you know what? I still want my freaking donuts. Let's go to Krispy Kreme. So we go to Krispy Kreme, and we have some delicious donuts. We're up on the 2nd floor, and we're sitting there. It's shaking again, like this, just whoo, 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 whoo. Maybe 3 more times. Not as big as the first time though, and I'm just whoo, whoo. And in earthquakes, if you're outside, you can't feel it as well. It just if you're in a building, you're gonna feel it a little bit more because you can see things around you shaking, you can hear the walls shaking, and you can just feel the whole place shaking. So, but we're so like, okay, you know, it's just aftershocks. You're just gonna keep hanging out, whatever. So, you know, we go to Yuzawaya. Yuzawaya opened up in Shinjuku. It's really nice. It's great for art supplies. It's much cheaper than Tokyo Hands. Anyway, so we go there, and I was like, oh, you know, how do I get to Yuzawaya? So I asked the shop staff. They're like, oh, you just take the elevator. I was like, oh, okay. So I turn around and I look at the lady who's like operating the elevator. She's like, no, we're not operating the elevator right now. And that actually made me feel better. I'm like, well, I'm glad they're not operating the elevator because, yeah, this is kind of a bad time to be doing that. So we take the escalator up like 11 floors, and then we go to a bar. And it had been shaking for about an hour or so, and we're about 4 floors up. It starts shaking again. And the higher you are, like, it's not as fast, it's more leisurely. So you have more time, however you're shaking over a larger area. So whoo, and I'm like, ugh. But it stops. But there, once again, we had another shake there, where one of the staff, she ran, and she opens the door. Bartender looks around, and she's like, candles. Blows out all the candles. We're sitting there for a good 30-45 seconds, just and I'm like, you know, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And eventually it stops. We haven't had one since then. It was about 8:30, 8:45, I don't remember. But I don't know, like, it's been a month, and like I said, it's stressful. And I'm just like, why please just stop? In good news, this is just completely personal, has really nothing to do with the Japan earthquake situation, but look at this cute samurai cat. Isn't this thing cute? It's all like, hi! Hi! I saw like this, I was in Ikebukuro yesterday for quite a while, and I went to like sort of a worse part of town, because I like the park there. And I went to this game center, and there was like this pretty hard looking old man. He's like, oh yeah, like smoking the cigarette. He's like, oh. And I felt like this guy was like giving me dirty looks, and I was like, what did I do? Like, I'm sorry for being foreign in the bad part of town. I don't know. Because sometimes, like, I get dirty looks from people, and they generally are older men. Like, guys in their 60s or over just give me the stink eye sometimes. Like, and I have no idea what the hell I did wrong. I have done nothing wrong. I'm just foreign in Japan, so sometimes that just by itself will get you dirty looks. So I'm like, whatever, that can, you know, whatever. So, but I was like, you know what, that's not gonna stop me from enjoying games. So I go to this UFO catcher, and lo and behold, the guy like sneaks up behind me. I was like, what's the deal? So like, I'm trying to catch this cat. And in Japan, like, shop staff are pretty cool. Like, if you're trying to catch a specific thing out of a UFO catcher, they'll generally open up the case and move it closer to the hole for you. And I was like, oh, what's this guy doing? But he opens up the case, he takes the cat, and he just throws it into the hole. And he goes, oh my god, you won! And I was like, this guy's a cool guy. I was like, oh, he was just being gangsta or something. I don't know. Like, maybe he just gives everybody the dirty eye. He just gave this to me. I was like, oh my god, that's so nice. Like, I'm so happy that like somebody was really nice. Like, that's my happy story.